Well, here we are at the end of 2024, coming up on a brand new year, and I thought it would be a fun idea to jump into the ring with a lot of my fellow content creators on the YouTubes and make my own predictions for the coming year, specifically in the gaming arena. Let's get started here with the first prediction I'd like to make. And it's something that I've been talking internally here in the studio about for a while. Those of you who know me pretty well know I also have another identity on YouTube, playing Wordle every day and connections and word games like that. And it got me to thinking, because I know that Wordle isn't going to be the bee's knees forever and ever and ever. And I'm actually kind of surprised that it still is. I think we are overdue for the next mega viral mobile game that crosses all ages and demographics. I like to use what I call the grandma test for that. So here's what I think. Historically, I'm thinking of things like Candy Crush Saga or Bejeweled or Angry Birds. And of course, currently, I think the champion of the mega viral mobile game is Wordle. And again, the grandma test means chances are, if you ask your grandma if she's familiar with Wordle, she's going to say yes. She might even start waxing nostalgic about her favorite Wordle solves and words that have flummoxed her. And that is what I mean when I say mega viral. Something surpasses what you might think is the traditional age range or demographic of a gamer. Everyone plays it. It's in the zeitgeist. We're overdue for the next big thing to happen in the mobile gaming space where just everyone is playing it, whether they like to admit it or not. So I can't tell you what it is, obviously, but I've just got this feeling deep down inside that in 2025, something is going to emerge and it's going to change everything once again. So hopefully that will be fun and exciting to see. Something I don't think is going to be as fun and exciting is my next prediction. I believe we are going to continue to see a decline of physical media, and specifically here, I think you're going to see a decline of physical releases for games that come out in 2025. I think that we are going to specifically see at least one major title that releases in 2025 will have no or very limited physical release. And perhaps the strategy there might be that a very small print run of a game, maybe 10 or 25,000 units, will be done in the name of a special physical collector's edition. Think of the AAA developers basically taking the limited run approach, right? Begrudgingly printing some physical discs, knowing that in all likelihood, and this is maybe a longer term prediction, we are probably in the last or the second to last console generation where there is even physical media at all. So it stands to reason that we're going to see a continuation in 2025 of the game development industry trying to wean us off physical media ever so slowly. And again, that means I think that you will see a decline in how many games get physical releases. And again, like I said, I believe one major title at least will shock the world by having no physical release or a very limited and probably expensive collector's edition. Another prediction I have for 2025 regards AI. That, of course, seems to be the tech buzzword of the last couple years, and obviously that's not going to change. That's going to continue to be a thing. And I think that AI, like any other disruptive technology in gaming, or really in the world in general, you tend to see it go through different phases where it doesn't quite meet its ultimate potential right away, but the first generation of things get the low-hanging fruit. So for AI, low-hanging fruit would be a glorified search engine, AI used to put customer service people out of work, and AI in the gaming space in its first generation of existence is probably going to continue to, and more specifically, probably within the AAA development world, put game designers, game artists, creatives out of work. I expect to see an unsettling increase in the amount of art, assets, story, characters, dialogue being generated by AI instead of human beings, artisans, artists, continuing to continuing to forward the trend of a certain lack of soul from big budget gaming, and perhaps continuing the march forward of indie gaming, which continues to get bigger and bigger each and every year. I saw a statistic that the 7 of the top 10 Steam games in 2024 by sales were considered indie games. I don't think this is an accident. I think that you can certainly have cause and effect, and one of them would be, again, having a certain soul, a certain clear love inside these games that doesn't necessarily exist as much in AAA games and will probably exist even less so in 2025. Now, another prediction I have, and these are going to be two predictions that are kind of interconnected a bit. The next two is going to be something that I'm not sure that I'm particularly thrilled about, but something I certainly have observed and I suspect is going to continue to an unsettling degree in 2024. I've seen a lot of content creators play in what I like to call the angry space. But that I mean being very angry and spirited and vitriolic towards perceived wrongs that they see in video gaming. Now, please don't confuse this with what a different section, which I'll call culture wars. I'm not talking about that aspect of it. I'm talking about being angry at GameStop, being angry at the selfishness of the costs of video games, being angry at video game resellers, being angry at perceived slights and wrongs that were done to them by independent game stores or transactions gone awry. I'm seeing a number of content creators that have really grown their audiences considerably on bringing the heat, so to speak. And I've seen content creators I never expected to get angry start to get increasingly angry as we end the year 2024. I suspect that the stats don't lie. For all intents and purposes, you have to be honest, that does seem to bring the hits, the engagement, and obviously the revenue for those content creators. So the money motivation is there to keep that train rolling, but I don't know if it's really for the better of the gaming world itself or gaming YouTube. You see, I think eventually what happens is when you get too angry all the time, you cross a line where you're no longer entertaining and you're just tedious and kind of frustrating to listen to. For example, if you're just doing nothing but screaming and shouting and you don't put a little humor in the mix, particularly self-deprecating humor, that's the best way to balance it out. Again, people are going to get really worn out really quick. But some folks that are just dabbling their toes into the angry gamer space don't necessarily have that background in the visual arts and entertainment, and so they're not quite getting that mix right. I am afraid that in 2025, one of the YouTubers out there that likes to get very critical is going to end up getting sued. Look, I don't want this to happen, and consider this more a cautionary tale and rise of concerns than cheerleading. But here's the thing. I'm seeing YouTubers do a lot of things that I think is not super well advised. I'm completely on the side of folks who want to make critical videos of whether it's a store, a reseller that they don't like, or something along those lines. But you're doing a couple things that are really putting you on that fine line. One, I would say, don't dwell. Making one video about a particular target that you think is unsavory is fine, but after you've made several of them, that could be considered borderline harassment, and that could get you in some legal issues, which I don't want anyone to get into. The other aspect of it is being careful about what you're actually saying and what you might be endorsing in your comments section. And it's one thing to say that you don't think someone's business practices are super good, but don't go so far as to allege things might be happening, like saying, oh, I bet that store is a front for money laundering. Well, if you can't prove that in a court of law, saying that is going to get you in some hot water. And for that matter, your commenters on your videos, you've got to be careful not to just thumbs up and say, like, I agree or exactly to everything that's being said, because that's an endorsement of whatever crazy accusations or inappropriate statements of fact they may be making. So please, everyone, I know it's competitive space, and I know there's a lot of money attached because it's easy clicks, it's easy engagement, but we got to be careful not to cross the line, because while I'm predicting someone's going to end up getting sued, I don't actually want it to happen. Well, there you go. So I've made a number of predictions here for 2025, and now I'm really wanting to know, what do you think about all these? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have predictions that you think are definitely going to happen that I maybe didn't make? Let me know in the comments below. Let's have a good conversation. Well, folks, thanks as always for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I'll see you next time on It's All Duggan Games. Sit, Duck Dragon, sit. Good Duck Dragon.